Rigetti Computing stock is up 4,777% in the last year. Yeah, you heard that right. A company that most people have never even heard of just 12 months ago is suddenly one of the market's biggest moonshots. But I have a question because I think this matters. Can this actually last? I'm talking about a company that's not profitable, has shrinking revenue, and burns cash like it's running out of time. Yet Wall Street is still calling it a strong buy. This does not add up. So, what is really going on here? See, Rigetti isn't just a normal tech company. They're building something far bigger, a computer that doesn't think in ones and zeros. Quantum bits, or qubits. They can be 0 and 1 at the same time. And that's the foundation for solving problems that today's fastest supercomputers couldn't crack in a million years. Sounds incredible, right? It is, until you realize that these qubits, they're unstable. They need special environments just to survive. And that makes scaling the technology insanely difficult. Still, Rigetti is betting everything on it. They're launching their 82-qubit Anka-3 processor and the Novera QPU while burning through millions in R&D. And here's the wild part. Most investors are missing it. Q2, Rigetti's revenue fell 42%, losses ballooned 219%, yet the stock kept climbing. That's not normal for market behavior, right? That's speculation on steroids. I want to thank The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. The Motley Fool is a company that provides investing insight and stock recommendations for investors of all skill sets and risk levels. And you all know how much I love researching new stocks and trying to find the next best investment. So I'm proud to partner with The Motley Fool to bring you 10 stock picks from their popular product, Stock Advisor. Stock Advisor has beaten the market by almost 6 times. Go to fool.com/RickO to get your 10 stock picks right now. So what is driving this? Well, there is one signal I'm watching that could make or break this entire story, and it's hidden in the company's roadmap to quantum advantage. Stick around until the end because I'm going to show you that one number that could decide whether Rigetti's 4,777% run is the start of a revolution or a crash waiting to happen. Hey, what's up? My name is Rick Orford. I've been trading since 1999, and I am not a financial advisor. That's a good thing. I'm here to break down the numbers so retail investors like us can just make smarter, more confident decisions with our money. With all that out of the way, let's get started with Rigetti. Now, I want to ask you a question. What is quantum computing? Well, unlike traditional computing, quantum computing uses quantum bits, or qubits. And these qubits can exist in multiple states simultaneously. It's very spooky. For example, qubits can be 0 or 1 or both. Now, it might sound like a small thing, but when scaled up, the potential applications of quantum computing, they're endless. We're talking about computing power that makes today's fastest supercomputers look like calculator watches of the 1980s. Since qubits can process many possibilities at once, quantum computers can, in theory, solve problems that would take the fastest supercomputer today millions of years to complete. However, quantum computing does have its limits. Qubits, they're very unstable, and quantum computers need special environments to run. So while the potential is massive, the challenge is even bigger. And that is where Rigetti Computing comes in. This is where the story gets interesting. Today, Rigetti is a California-based quantum computing company founded by Chad Rigetti. And he was a former physicist at IBM, so I think he might know a thing or two about quantum. Rigetti offers a full-stack quantum classical computing solution and quantum computing as a service. Now, some of their main products include the Novera QPU and Anka-3. Think of them as the engines that are going to be powering the future of computation. Anka-3 is Rigetti's state-of-the-art 82-qubit quantum processor. Novera QPU is Rigetti's first commercially available quantum processing unit. It's powered by the company's own Anka systems. Rigetti also hosts a cloud computing platform that lets developers use quantum processors to write and test calculations on Quill, or the quantum instructions language. In English, Rigetti, they're not just building computers. This company is trying to build the foundation of how we might compute everything in the next decade. Rigetti's not chasing the market. They're trying to redefine. Now, let's talk about the stock because that's why you're here, right? Last time I talked about Rigetti, it was trading at around $43. It reached up to $58.15 recently before settling around $46 by the last close. Zooming out, Rigetti has done well overall. It's up 203% over year to date and a whopping 4,777% over the last year. Its stock price also tends to move around 9.77 after the company releases its financial reports. That's not normal price action. That's volatility that gets traders excited and long-term investors cautious. So, is this explosive growth all hype or a sign of things to come? And that question often pops up in my Discord. Well, to answer that, let's break it down. Let's see what's driving this, and more importantly, can it last? Now, in my last video, Rigetti has some profitability issues. You can watch the video up here, by the way. Makes it a very risky investment. But let's have a closer look at their financials to have a better or a clearer picture. Now, remember that Rigetti is still in the R&D phase, right? So its financials are probably not going to look very pretty. Translation, we're in a spend now and maybe profit later stage. Now, Rigetti hasn't yet set an official date for its third quarter financial release, but if we look at their second quarter numbers, Rigetti's revenue fell 42% year over year to 1.8 million. Its net losses, they grew 219% to 39.6 million year over year. Again, none of this should be any surprise because Rigetti is still investing heavily in R&D, and the quantum technology market remains speculative right now at best. R&D expenses made up 66% of its total operating expenses, which means that 2/3 of their spending goes into building technology that still doesn't make any money yet. Now, management projects that the demand for quantum computing will reach 1 to 2 billion per year by 2030. And this demand is driven largely by the public sector, including government labs. Further out, demand is expected to grow even higher following broader industry adoption after achieving quantum advantage. Now, what is quantum advantage? Well, it means the point where quantum computers outperform the classical ones, and that is the holy grail of the quantum industry. Right now, Rigetti has earned around 5.7 million so far after the sale of 2 quantum computing systems at the end of September. Now, that amount might not sound like a lot, but if you consider this, their total sales in 2024 were just 10.79 million. That's 53% of their revenue in one shot. So you could say that Rigetti's finally seeing perhaps a proof of concept demand, but not yet enough to prove long-term profitability. Now, if we look at some metrics, Rigetti has a 1,441 price to sales ratio and a 32.97 price to book ratio. Of course, this company still doesn't have a price to earnings because it still hasn't earned any money. It's still operating at a loss. But what do these numbers tell us? Well, it's not exactly a pretty picture. All of these ratios combined tell us that Rigetti's valuation is priced for perfection. And in investing, when a stock is priced like this, even small imperfections can cause big crashes. So the question becomes, is Rigetti a visionary play or a ticking time bomb? And is the stock a buy? Well, let's look at what Wall Street says, because according to a consensus of 7 analysts, Rigetti, they rated a strong buy, and it's been unchanged for the last 3 months. That said, if we look at their high price target, we see that Rigetti, they're already there. In other words, the upside is probably already baked in and maybe limited unless something really big changes. I think Rigetti has a good shot of becoming mainstream one day, but those who buy today are going to need to strap in because, I think it's going to be a bumpy ride as that happens, if it happens at all. Now, I've learned that early adopters can win big, but they also take the biggest hits when the hype fades. Now, before I go, I do have one last question for you. Do you believe in what Rigetti Computing is doing? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, if you found the video helpful, why not like and subscribe? It'll help others find a video, it'll support the channel, and you won't miss out on any of my future deep dives. Well, that's it for me today in this video. I wanted to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.